again. Great to have you with us here on Leading Edge. I'm your host, Jeff Smith. In a small town like Toledo is, it's important to have leaders and movers and shakers who think outside the box. A local law firm was looking to help Division I schools navigate the sometimes muddied waters of the NCAA and NIL deals. So Shoemaker started a sports division. This is our interview with Bart Lambergman, who's part of Shoemaker's new team.
We have a national sports practice, and we work in both college athletics and professional sports. Some of the areas in college athletics that we work in include contracts for athletic directors, contracts for college coaches, particularly in the big revenue producing sports of football and basketball. We also work directly with institutions and conferences on different college athletics, legal, governance, and policy issues. And there's no shortage of issues these days in college athletics.
Is this, let me interrupt, is this the new paradigm that we're in, regardless of market size?
I think the enterprise is professionalizing more and more almost every day. This has been a result of several lawsuits since around 2010 in the Ed O'Bannon case, where essentially former student athletes sued the NCAA for restrictions on their name, image, and likeness compensation. That's a term of art, NIL, that derives from the legal concept of the right of publicity, which the NCAA sort of quashed over a period of more than a century, and the rules of the NCAA have changed over time in recent years, largely due to state legislatures and increasing lawsuits.
When you talk revenue sharing, you think Big Ten, you think SEC, you think ACC, you think about these power conferences. But the question, why Toledo, Ohio? I guess kind of answer that for us in our audience. Why something like this would be needed here in Northwest Ohio?
Yeah, you have a number of FBS schools in Ohio. In terms of Bowling Green State, Toledo, down the road in Michigan, Eastern Michigan, all there. The 4 FBS schools within a very small distance, not to mention all the other MAC schools in close proximity. But it really goes back to the sports practice that has been built at Shoemaker, which is a national American law firm with offices across the country, but it started in Toledo, Ohio, and Bennett Spire has become, at least in the college space, a nationally recognized college athletics attorney. And it helps having a guy like Brian Blair in your backyard, who is, I think at the time, was the youngest FBS athletic director to be hired. He came from Washington State, working for a great athletic director in Pat Chun. So the city of Toledo is in good hands in terms of college athletics expertise. And by the way, Brian is also an attorney, which is rare in college sports.
Talk a little bit about why and when you guys would be brought in.
There's several issues that we work on. One of those issues are, for individual coaches and administrators, if they have an issue with regard to their employment agreement, those get very complicated because it's within the context of higher ed, but it's directly related to athletics. So we can come in and work on creative solutions, whether it be for bonus ideas or deferred compensation structures. Uh,
Does this differentiate you guys from an agent?
we're not, representing, uh, you know, uh, coaches or players or administrators from the sense of professional sports opportunities. We're sort of merely working on their legal issues, sometimes in tandem with their own agents. So they'll want us to review the contract, or sometimes we're involved in the actual negotiation. But normally, it's from a legal standpoint, and certainly from a big picture college sports policy standpoint. We also have a team experienced in just knowing the industry.
Welcome back. We continue our conversation with a new member to the legal team at Shoemaker, Bart Lambergman. We're talking about the firm's new sports branch, and we discuss college athletes, a harsh reality when they want to get paid. That reality? Taxes.
When these kids sign these NIL deals, we hear all the time about professional athletes having to pay taxes in each state they go to. Are these college kids going to be required to do that through these deals, or are the schools picking up the taxes?
Absolutely, the athletes will be responsible for paying federal and state taxes, and
So,
it's
so if you have UT basketball player or UT football player playing a game at Eastern Michigan in Ypsilanti, as you mentioned, they're responsible for the taxes.
it's all this system has been one of the reasons why the NCAA coined the term student athlete was to avoid the workers' compensation issue. Where if an athlete who most graduate every 4 years played a game in one state, that they would have to pay taxes based on certain activities in that state. With these NIL deals, uh, absolutely athletes pay taxes on that, and schools can help educate in certain areas, but ultimately the athletes are responsible, and it's easier said than done when we're talking about 18, 9-year-old athletes, and most college students,
Absolutely.
probably don't have that sort of experience or understanding.
A commercial that's running on the air where you hear a couple of college students talk about the mean tweets that they're getting, telling them that they're, trash, they're worthless.
There's losing, and then there's being the loser. Game time comes with enough pressure. Way too often, people are betting on sports, losing, and taking it out on the athletes. Only a loser would harass college athletes after losing a bet. But it happens almost every day. Root for your team. Get crazy when the buzzer sounds. But don't harass anyone because you lost a bet. It's time we draw the line and put an end to the abuse. Brought to you by the NCAA.
We've gotten into this discussion about prop betting as far as college athletes. It's not allowed in the state of Ohio, but it is. You can bet individual athletes, collegiate athletes in other states. How do you guys lobby against that or get involved in that? Is there any argument protecting these kids? Because in the long run, they're trying to be like professional athletes and be treated like professional athletes and get paid like professional athletes. So where is, I guess, the dividing line?
Yeah, it's certainly sports wagering, which became legalized in 2018 when the Supreme Court overruled PASPA, essentially led to a patchwork of states uh, implementing their own different sports betting bills. And, the difference between all the sports wagering scandals and the pros, and college sports is the campus environment. These young people, these young athletes have tremendous pressures from their peers. You can imagine, in their dorm rooms and online, as you mentioned. The NCAA has done a good job in recent years. Charlie Baker, the former governor of Massachusetts, now the NCAA president, has really tried to get states to ban prop betting, which are these in-game uh, opportunities to bet, like missing a free throw. And there's enormous pressure on young people. And so, college sports doesn't have collective bargaining. And so these athletes are on their own, and it's really an issue. There's a lot of nasty people who may not intend what they mean, but they say, something on X or Twitter in the heat of the moment, and it can be pretty derogatory.
Talk a little bit about how you guys move this down the road and maybe any kind of developments going into the fall.
Yeah, so with the expected House versus NCAA settlement, there's a lot of new opportunities for schools and new challenges for schools. Schools will need to implement revenue sharing agreements that comply with NCAA and conference rules. Schools are different than one another, so they need to take into account their own institutional values and also the resources that they have available to them. Unlike professional sports general managers who are in charge of, one team, athletic directors are in charge of 16 to 20 teams and managing rosters and keeping Title IX compliant, and not just asking donors for money. They're the same donors for money. At some point, there will be donor fatigue, and schools are going to need to find other ways to, keep up with the top schools. So that the revenue sharing part of it, certainly there's ongoing NCAA governance issues, and there's also no shortage of employment issues and contracts. And I tell you what, the greatest job in the world is to be a fired college football coach, in terms of the hundreds of millions in severance that we've seen over the past decade or so.
Welcome back. On June 29th, the Toledo Zoo welcomes the I Want My 80s tour. We're talking Wang Chung, John Waite, Paul Young, and the headliner, Rick Springfield. Well, the next 2 weeks, I'm going to share with you my conversation with Rick Springfield and why he says he's part of this tour.
Well, they're friends, I like to go out with people whose music I like and that I like the people. And John Waite and I have been friends for years, and Paul Young I met on a couple of tours ago, and he's a great guy too. And Wang Chung, looking forward to seeing them. And I was fans of all of these guys in the 80s. I used to have them on my, what was it? What was the thing you did before iPhones? It was a, God, I've forgotten, the tape machine. What was it called? A little tiny tape machine. Oh, I forget what it was called, but it was great. And it was when you could have portable music. And I listened to all. I listened to Wang Chung.
Sony Walkman you're talking about.
Walkman. There you go. That's what it's called. I used to run, so it was my run man.
As you put together your set list, I mean, obviously, and I was watching a couple of the shows that have already happened this week, you've got to put together some fan favorites. But I want to give you an opportunity as well to talk about some of the newer stuff. I went through some of the songs. I was struck, Rick, because you've got explicit lyrics on some of them, and I know in the writing, but that's kind of a change, is it not?
No, my first album, Working Class Dog, actually snuck the S word through. Nobody caught it and was played on the radio and everything. So, I use it when it, I don't just throw it out there. I know a lot of guys, F this, F that, but I use it when I feel like it's going to help the power of the lyric because, cussing can be very powerful if it's not overused. And I use it now and then when for frustration or for whatever.
1983, Affair of the Heart, Living in Oz, and I know going back, I've got an uncle who's had a band in Ohio and around the country since I was a kid. He had gotten this brand new Yamaha stereo. He set it up and he played Affair of the Heart for me. And I was, as a 10-year-old at that time, just blown away by the technology, the sound, the synth, the driving rock, the drums, the pounding. How did you capture? Do you look back on that song? And I know you were up for a Grammy, were you not? And got beat out by Beat It?
Yeah, yeah. That's really funny you should mention that because I just went to Sound City where I recorded all that stuff. And did you see the Dave Grohl documentary on Sound City? It's a great
Oh, it's
documentary.
unbelievable.
Yeah, yeah. And so Dave did a documentary on the studio where we all recorded, and I was there yesterday actually, and they had multi-tracks. They had the multi-tracks of Affair of the Heart and the song Living in Oz. And we were pulling it up. You could pull up the drums, you could pull up my vocal, you could pull up the guitars. And I was amazed at how heavy and how big it sounded back then. Uh, it was a great sounding record. And it was partly the studio and partly the songs and partly the players were really tight. I haven't recorded with a whole band since then. I now, because of Pro Tools, I can go in and just do everything, play everything myself kind of thing. So the idea of getting a band together is like, well, it's gonna be much easier if I just do this. And but then it was a great band and they're all real professional, great players. And
Were those studio guys or was that your band?
there was some of them were my band, but a lot of them were studio guys. Some were studio guys that became my band.
Yeah.
And um, became band members. But it's very powerful stuff. And I was funny you should bring that up because hearing it's isolated, hearing the drums isolated, hearing the guitars isolated, I was really taken aback at
Yeah.
um, how big it sounded and how well it was recorded and how the fidelity and the power of it all.
Well, sitting here, Rick, in 2025 and listening to it again, and I mean, this is cliche, it stands the test of time. And
Mhm.
I just wonder if one of the questions I wrote down, I was curious, do you hear your influence in music today? Have you been sampled? Did a song like Human Touch ever get sampled?
Yeah, there's been samples of stuff. I haven't really kept track of them, but I mean, I don't know. I do meet, young musicians that said that say, they were influenced by what I did. And I know there's some older, we all listened to each other in the 80s. I know there's other players that kind of my age that were following me too. But it wasn't cool back then to say it because I'd come off General Hospital and I remember that we were playing in Top of the Pops in London and there was this metal band on there. And by the way, I never wore spandex. Okay, and there was this metal band on there, hair metal band, and the guitar player came up to me and said, "Dude, I love Affair of the Heart. What a great song!" And the singer grabbed him and pulled him away. Said, "Don't talk to him."
No
So
kidding.
there was a kind of, oh, Rick Springfield, is he real or is he like just this acting geek that someone put in the studio and had got some songs for. So that was I kind of had to deal with that for a long time. Now I'm 75, so I kind of go, whatever, dude. Think what you want, I don't care.
Yeah. But there was kind of a competition thing, but I mean, I, I think back to guys like Jack Wagner, who had a very small moment in time, but my God, your career is to be marked. Talk a little bit about one thing that struck me. I watched a show from down at Disney World, and you feature a song during your set which you wrote. You said it's cathartic for you. Talks about your bouts with depression. Why was that? How tough was that to write? Why is it so important to share?
It's my little PSA, I guess. I mean, I wrote my own autobiography about 10 years ago, and oh, longer than that, I think. Anyway, but a lot of, and I mentioned the depression. I actually called it a third person, Mr. D, because I felt like it was someone really messing with me. It wasn't me, but it was someone in here that was. And a lot of people picked up on that. I guess a lot of, having a celebrity talk about, that they have the same battles, and a lot of people got a lot of um, courage to talk about their own depression from that. So I wrote this song. It wasn't hard to write. It was just necessary, and so I still do it and talk about. I do a little, talk about how I've had to deal with it since I was a teenager, and it still kind of rides on my shoulder, and I have to watch it, and you can still have a good life even though you have stuff like that. And we all have mental health issues. I'm not by any stretch of imagination going, hey, I'm really different. I have mental health issues. Everybody has a mental health issue. Everybody has a problem. Anyone you meet, there's a battle going on inside them that you know nothing about. Everybody. And so, I understand that, and my way to bridge that gap is to talk about my issues, and they're truthful and not. I don't do it for sympathy or for whatever. I do it because I feel like it can help people, and it helps me too.
Part 2 of our talk with Rick Springfield next week. We'll see you next time on Leading Edge.